So we should be live streaming. Should be working. Well, here we go. I think we are. Hey guys. So we're live streaming this episode of basically I've changed the name of the podcast since what we had before. It used to be called The Independent Musician. We're now calling the podcast The Life of a Performer. So for this episode we are live streaming out on Facebook and on YouTube. So hopefully this is going to just introduce you guys to what we're doing with the podcast now, and hopefully you can subscribe to the podcast YouTube channel, which there's a link in the description. If you're listening to this back on Spotify or any of the other streaming platforms, I may or may not have edited this part out, but if I didn't, then of course, today's episode, I will be talking about my journey in music. So I'm going to be talking about how I got into music, and basically just from start to finish, really. So hope you guys enjoy. Normally, of course, it's quite weird doing this as a live stream, because normally I would have edited it afterwards and have like the music playing in the background and stuff. And normally I say, with no further ado, my name's Luke Garns and this is The Life of a Performer. Tap, clap, sing along, but please keep it on beat. And then we just get into the podcast. But today we're just doing it a little bit different because, like I say, this is a live stream. I'm just going to check to see that we are live on Facebook, etc. Can you see my ugly mug live on Facebook? I can't, to be fair, but we're probably there somewhere. I believe we are live. Let me just double check again. Oh. I had to press go live to go live on Facebook. So we are now live. Yes, we are. Look at that. And we are live on YouTube as well. Apologies for those people on YouTube that have already tuned in. I'm going to have to do the introduction again because now we're live on Facebook. Let me just double check now that we are live. And there I am. I am indeed live. Brilliant. And just check that we're live on the beautiful YouTube as well. Yes, we are. We're live in there. So right. I'm going to crack on. Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of a podcast that already exists, but we have changed the name of the podcast from The Independent Musician to The Life of a Performer. There's a reason why we've done that, or why I've done that. I talk like we, like there's a team behind me. It is just me, myself, and I at the moment. But who knows? As the podcast grows, the team could grow. Yes, you know that. But yeah, so we changed the name to The Life of Performer, and the reason being is that I want to kind of open up and be a bit more broad with this podcast and have people from all performance backgrounds on here, not just independent musicians, whether that's magicians, whether that's dancers, whether that's fire breathers, whether that's artists, whatever, within the performing arts sector. I just want to broaden and open up, but I also want to talk more about the life of a performer, what goes into it, and just every single facet of being a performer really is what we're going to cover in this podcast, getting some amazing guests on, but today's episode, you have just got me, myself, and and the camera. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about my journey in music for this first podcast. I'm hoping this is going to be an introduction for some people who maybe just come across this podcast for the first time. If that is you and you are listening to this, then please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube podcast channel. I've put a link in the description. I haven't yet changed the name to The Life of Performer. It still says The Independent Musician for now, but by the time you're listening to this, hopefully it would have changed if you're listening back. Yeah, give it a subscribe, give us a follow, all that jazz. And I hope you enjoy the episodes that have been before and the episodes that are gonna come up. So we are just getting started, like I say, with this podcast, but it's going to go from strength to strength, and I'm really excited about it. So, right, well, with no further ado, guys, my name's Luke Garns, and this is the life of a performer. Tap, clap, sing along, but please keep it on beat. It's saying that because we are live, but normally there'd be some music playing and all that jazz. But you know, today we're just live streaming it. We're doing our thing. So anyway, introduction, guys. My name's Luke Garns, and I am I would say a professional musician. Yes, I've been doing it for several years now. Been playing music for well over 20 years, and I'm just gonna take you guys back to the beginning. I mean, I'm actually 34 now, believe it or not. I think there's a mistake with my birth certificate. My birth certificate says I'm 34. I find that hard to believe. I really do find that hard to believe that I'm 34. I just think that mistakes have been made somewhere, and but there we go. That's for another podcast. Yeah, that's for another podcast. But anyway, yes, I'm 34, and my love of music came from a very young age. My mum playing music around the house. It used to be like Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Ray Charles. They were like the three big ones that were just constantly playing around the house as I was growing up. And I'll tell you what, I actually learned a lot from listening to that music, because at a young age, like when you're listening to Michael Jackson and you can hear the panning, and there's one sound here and there's one sound here, you know, and you can hear it coming through the speakers, the left and right. And it's like, wow, how is he creating that sound? And it just made me really curious from a young age about music and how music was kind of put together and performed. And when you see these amazing performers like Michael Jackson on stage, and even Stevie Wonder, who just, for me, just performed with such grace. He just, like, of course, he just sat behind the piano, but pure star quality. And Michael Jackson, just like the ultimate performer. And it just made me really curious, and gave me that kind of love of music from a young age. Every birthday, my mum used to play Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Every morning you come down, it's your birthday, or it's your sister's birthday, your brother's. That's always blazing through the house. So yeah, amazing memories from that. But and then my first kind of introduction into drums was when I was at junior school, and I was in year 6. And believe it or not, I've told this story a few times, but Status Quo came to my school. And, you know, people say to me, what, the actual Status Quo? And I say, yeah, because I really believed that it was actually Status Quo. Now, granted, I was a lot younger back then, and I've kind of forgotten a little bit about the experience. So I'm going to say it was Status Quo, but yeah. Anyway, I heard these guys play, and it just made me think, I had to start playing drums. And I was in year 6 at the time, so as soon as I got to secondary school, year 7, it was just time for me to start playing the drums. Like, I was like, get me in that drum room. So there was a practice room there. I jumped straight in there, started playing the drums, found out about lessons, started having lessons straight away. And it was amazing, really, because the lessons were free. I'm not sure how it worked. Obviously, like, funded through the school or through the government or something like that. And you know, that was you know, godsend for me, really, because I mean, I come from a single parent household. You know, it's just my mum, who's done an amazing job with my brothers and sisters and myself. And yeah, we didn't have the money to pay for music lessons. Music lessons are so expensive. I've just started playing, learning the piano now, and I'm paying £25 a week, which is actually a really good price for the the level of teacher that I've got teaching me. But music lessons are not cheap. And so I was really blessed to have music lessons for free from year 7 all the way through to year 11. And my teacher, Mr. Armstrong, he's a funny one actually, because he used to teach me, and I used to think sometimes that he was falling asleep during the lessons, because I'll be playing the drums, be playing away, and I'd turn around, and this is all I'd see. I'd turn around. You're only going to see this if you're watching on the video podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you're not going to get the same experience. But I'd turn around, and this is all I'd see. And I genuinely thought he was asleep. I genuinely thought that he had like fallen asleep on me whilst I was playing the drums. Apparently, after asking him about this, in later years, he said he was just focusing on the music. He was listening. So who knows? Was he asleep or was he listening? Who knows? But so that was Mr. Armstrong. But I loved my lessons each week. It was really cool because I learned how to read music, as well as a lot more about just like drumming technique, sound, all of that. And I really enjoyed it. I love my lessons, and as a result of that, I started playing for the school band. Originally, there was another drummer. When I was in year 7, he was in year 11, or I might have been in year 8, he was in year 11, and he used to be the drummer. So whenever we had like awards evenings, he'd be playing drums, and I'd basically just sit by the side of the drums. I'd sit next to him, and I'd be like turning his papers or doing whatever he needed me to do, and I'd be like listening and learning, and that was pretty cool. And then he left the school because he was in year 11, and I took over the reins as a school drummer, and that was a great experience. I loved it. But I was never in a band, believe it or not. Through all of my years of playing at school, I was never in a band. Apart from the stuff I did with the school, I never, you get some of these people that are in these young bands, when they're like 13, 14, 15. But not me, no. I mean, my first experience of playing the band was later down the line. But before getting to that, I finished school, and it was a decision for me when it comes to college. Do I go to music college or do I go to catering college? And I know what you're thinking, Luke, catering? How does catering come into this? But I had a bit of a passion for cookery as well. I used to cook a lot at home, and I didn't actually do food tech at school, funnily enough. I did, what was it? It was like some sort of outside like building and painting and decorating. The reason why we did that is because basically we got to get out of school and go down to City College for the afternoon. So that was a good enough reason for me and the boys. But yeah, so I didn't do food tech at school, but I loved food. So I went for an audition at Taunton's College to try and get into music college, and it was really good audition, actually, to be fair. Like the piece I put together, I can remember it. I played like some really cool groove, and I kind of tried to give them a broad repertoire of what I could play. So I played like a cool straight groove, and that went on to like the rim clicks, and doing all this around the rim clicks. It sounded really cool. Like I was really happy with it. I wish I had a video of it still, but and then I went into like playing 16ths, like a bit of like more of a dancier beat, if you like, and then half time, and just kind of tried to show a bit of a repertoire of all the sort of grooves I could play. Anyway, it was good enough. They said, yeah, you're in. You've got a place at Taunton's College if you want it. And I was also accepted for catering college at City College. So I actually turned down one at Taunton's, and I went to City College, did catering. All the while whilst I was at catering college, every single break that I had, I was in the music room. The music room. I was in the music shop in East Street. Can't even remember what it was called, but it was a music shop in East Street, and I used to always escape there during my breaks, before lessons, after lessons, and I'd be playing the drums in there, and I loved it, to be fair. Like, it was amazing. I could just go in there and we could just have a bit of a jam or jump on it with the electric kits, and it was great. And we'd be jamming away. And it's funny, one of the guys that worked in there, actually later years, I saw him at university when I went to university, because he actually worked there. But anyway, I'll get to that. But yeah, we were jamming away in there, and yeah, I loved it. And then kept on doing college, finished college, kept on working as a chef. Whilst I was working as a chef, my first experience of playing in a band came with a band called Theory Test. This was a band with some friends of mine, Simon Ayres, some other friends, and Onion was in there, was in the band. A friend called Lee, and Adam Humphreys was in the band as well. And yeah, we had a blast, to be fair. And we used to play like Fix You and City of Delusion and stuff like that. But I was very kind of just rough around the edges then, my playing. Like, I was probably about 19, just loving playing, to be fair. Like, and I used to go off book a little bit, you know what I mean? I just like chuck a bit of anything in there, you know, just have fun really. But to be fair, it was the perfect band to have fun in, because it was just a pub band, you know. The best way to learn is to experiment, right, and have fun. So that's what I did. So I absolutely loved playing in that band, and we then turned on to, from Theory Test, we became the Retake, because a few band members left, or I think our singer left, and we changed to another singer. So we were called the Retake. And that was all well and good. And the good thing about that band is it spurred me on to do more in music. So it spurred me on from that band to want to kind of progress. So after not going for my college course when I was first offered it, when I was 16, at this point I'm now 21. And I'm going back to Taunton's to try and get into the music course. I get offered exactly the same course I got offered when I was 16, and I went and did that course. Whilst that, so I'm just gonna quickly check to see if we are still live on YouTube. Well, there's an ad playing, so I guess we are. Excuse me. So I tell you what, it feels very weird doing this podcast, just talking on my own. Normally I do podcasts with guests, but yeah, we are live indeed on YouTube. So anyway, where was I? So yeah, whilst I was at college doing this course, really cool. I think I had some piano lessons whilst at college, drum lessons, and some singing lessons as well. That's a good thing about being, you know, on the course. You got kind of free music lessons. Again, blessed. And I got into a band called Mac Brown, and that was with some friends of mine, Benny Jones, excuse me, yawning, getting tired. Matt Shenton and Tim Godleyman. Yeah, that was a really cool band, to be fair, and we had a lot of fun. You know, we just we played some local gigs, and alongside that, I used to go down to the jam sessions. And this is the part I really want to tell you guys about, because for anybody who's listening to this podcast and who's thinking how best to get into music, this for me is vitally important. Now, this is how it worked for me. I'm not saying this is going to work for everyone, but what you've got to be willing to do in the early stages is just put yourself out there. You've got to be willing to get out there, networking. I know it's such a word, you know, cliche word, but it's true. Basically, meet people, talk to people, and have a go as well. It's so much about being in the right place and just being friendly as well, because people want you to be approachable so they know they can work with you and stuff like that and have a laugh. So I used to go to the jam sessions. I used to play cajon. I used to play for lots of different artists, getting up there and playing. And from there, I got a gig at 90 Degrees playing their live lounge with Jay. And Jay put me through my paces. Jay Fashol-Luke, amazing pianist. First time I played with him, I was sat there and he was like looking across at me like this. and he was like, reggae, like halftime, and he was just chucking all of these different styles to me: jazz, funk, yeah, garage, so dancehall. So he was just chucking all these different styles to me and just trying to test me to see if I could do them. Thankfully, I did. I was on the con, and from there he was like, yeah. So I ended up doing that live lounge every single week, which was amazing, to be fair, because I got to play with loads of different singers, and I got to play in front of a crowd, because it was quite busy there at 90 Degrees Live Lounge. So that was amazing. So alongside doing that, playing with Mac Brown, Mac Brown kind of evolved and became the Tim Gold Band. We had Chris Smith on guitar, who's amazing, and then it became the Expressions, still with Chris Smith on guitar, and with what's his name? I can't remember. My mind's gone blank. With our we had a keys player as well, and that was a really cool band. So we enjoyed that and played some cool gigs again. And just the years kept on rolling on, really. And I mean, I finished college and then I went on to university. So I went to Solent Uni. I was actually offered Southampton University. I was offered a couple of universities in London. I think Westminster, Kingsway. Yeah, a couple of unis up there. But I went for Solent. The reason why I went for Solent sounds bad, really. But firstly, I thought it was more popular performance based, from what I was told. But also, Southampton Uni, you need to do your grade 8 exam, and I hadn't done it. I could have easily done it, but I would have had to practice and work towards it and all that sort. And if I'm honest with you, I couldn't be bothered. So I thought I'll just go for Solent. It seems a bit more up my street. And the course was all right, to be fair. I enjoyed it, So kept on playing with the bands through there, kept on doing the jam sessions, kept on going to the open mic nights, all of this, and work started to grow a bit more, but more so the only work I was doing musically, really, apart from the odd band gig with Jay, was just all with the Tim Gold Band, all the Expressions. That was just the band I was working with mostly. One thing I would say that I did do was I always hijacked gigs if I could. Like I'd say to Jay, where are you playing this weekend? He was like, I'm playing the Cricketers or wherever it might be. I was like, okay, who's on drums? He was like, we don't have a drummer. I was like, why? And he was like, there's no budget for a drummer, we can't afford it. I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll come down and play for £10. Guys, I shit you not, I used to offer to play gigs for £10, sometimes even for free, just so I could be there, and just network, get my name out there, and after that it would lead to more paid gigs. And that's something I think for people that are starting out, they should really look at doing that. They should really look at just putting themselves out there and doing gigs for free, I think. Yeah, so fast forward a bit, doing those gigs, doing the gigs with the Tim Gold Band, Expressions, got a bit fed up with them, to be fair, if I'm honest with you. Playing the old Ice House, all of these venues that you play at where they weren't really listening to you. They were tucked around the corner, you'd hear a rippled applause, or there'd be some drunken guy, walking around with his pint. And I thought, I need to try and push on to the next level. So at this point, I was still at uni. I was in my third year of uni, and I was dating a girl in London, and Shana, her name was, and I was up there, and she booked us tickets to go to an Oxjam concert, which featured Matt Henry. And Matt Henry was a singer I absolutely loved. He was on The Voice, great voice, great performer. And I was so excited to see him perform. I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. I was watching this band, and I'm not one to judge, but I was thinking, this guy deserves a better band than what he's got. The drummer was just a bit shaky, I'm going to say. The guitarist was a bit all over the shop. And I thought, oh gosh, Matt deserves a better band than this. So I thought I'd have a chat with him afterwards. I didn't ask him to play drums for him. I just introduced myself to him and said, amazing stuff. A big fan of yours, been watching your videos online. And then we just got to talking, exchanged Twitter and Instagram. And then, from there, I kind of went home back to Southampton. And I messaged him because I thought, on the off chance, I'll ask him if there's any gigs going up London. So I said, Matt, do you know anyone up in London looking for a drummer? And he said, actually, I'm looking for a drummer. So this led to 2 amazing gigs. A far cry from the Ice House and from the Mountbatten and the pubs I was playing in Southampton. Now I was playing up in London, with some upcoming artists, in some big venues. And the first gig was the HMV Institute in Birmingham. And the second gig was the O2 Academy in Islington. They might have been the other way around, but either way, those were the 2 gigs. I thought, oh God, I've got to smash this. This is my chance, you know what I mean? It's my chance to push on to the next level in the industry. So we had a few rehearsals and working with a guy called Marcus Manish, and another guy who was like the producer. And it was really cool. Great experience. We were playing to backing tracks as well. So we had like other stuff, and like these artists put other stuff work in the background, like little percussion-y bits and that. So I had my in-ears in, so I had to play along to that, like to a click track. So that was definitely a challenge for me because it's something I hadn't really done before. Of course, I'd worked on it at uni and stuff, you're constantly doing recordings, working to click tracks and stuff, but I was like determined to nail it. So we had these gigs. Thankfully, I did nail it, or I did enough for him to say, stay on. And I ended up being his drummer for like 2 years up in London. That was an amazing experience. We played all around. We played the 100 Club. We played Ronnie Scott's. We played the Soraya, which was an amazing gig there. We played all over. We played some private members clubs in Soho. We played somewhere up in Matlock. Speaking of the gig in Matlock, that was a crazy one because we went all the way up there. And it was like in this like big church sort of building. Great fish and chips up the way and sweets as well. I was cashed in on that. But we had a little green room out the back. And I thought, what is going on here? I walk out into this green room and there's jeans laid out on the table. I'm like, okay, who are they for? Because they look pretty darn nice, I'm not going to lie. So I was looking at these jeans, eyeing them up, and these were monkey jeans. And somebody come and said, these are for the band. I was like, whoo, shit. Happy days. So we basically got some free jeans at that gig. I was like, this is the life, this will do. Had a great gig, and it was some of the best years of my life in music because I really felt like I was pushing on to the next level, and I didn't feel like I had made it because I've never been somebody who's had that mentality. You know what I mean? I just felt like I was progressing, like it was the next level up. And I was traveling up to London 2-3 times a week sometimes to do these gigs. The time came to record Matt's album, and this was another amazing experience because I ended up working with the one and only Mr. Hudson. Now, for those who don't know Mr. Hudson, sorry, quick sip of my drink. For those who don't know Mr. Hudson, he's amazing producer, singer, songwriter, worked with the likes of Kanye West, Supernova, everyone knows that song, amazing. And he was basically at the gig we did at the Soraya. He came up to me and he said, I didn't really know how to take this, but he said, I love your right hand. So, okay, yeah, I was looking at my hand thinking, what's so special about this hand? Is it the... Now, he meant the way that I play the hi-hat. And he said, "Oh, you're just really solid." And I was like, "Oh, thanks so much." And they're coming from you. I knew who he was instantly. You know what I mean? He's like a superstar. And it's like, coming from you, that's amazing. So he was then the one that wanted to record us. So he spoke to Matt and said, "Let's get this in the studio, but let's do it live. Let's not do it all kind of like track by track. Let's get everyone in the studio together and let's record this album from start to finish live." I was like, "This sounds amazing." I was buzzing. So, bit of preparation, of course. A few gigs later, it was time to go up to London and start practicing. We had 3 days practice, and then the studio session started. Practice went really well, putting together the songs, putting together the arrangements. You know, you could tell Matt was kind of, very particular about what he wanted from the songs, and I was fine with that. I was ready to learn. You know what I mean? I remember, I think the day before going up for the studio recording, I booked out a practice room at Planet Sounds. Not Planet Sounds. There's one in Southampton. It was underneath the bridge. I think it was Planet Sounds. So I booked out a practice room there, and I just went through all the songs. And I thought, I'm going to nail these parts. I thought, I need to. This is my chance. I'm going to be on an album. How amazing is that? So I went through all the songs, and I was so happy because when I got to London, well, firstly, Matt warned us. He said, Mr. Hudson said, if you're not cutting it, you'll be out. I was like, whew, a bit more pressure on it. But it's fair enough because they're paying for the studio time. Time is money. They need people who can go in there and actually execute on the songs. But I was so confident I could do that. I had practiced the day before. We had the band practices. I was ready to go. Anyway, some of the songs come up, and because I changed the parts slightly, I thought, oh, how are they going to take it? They loved the parts that I changed to. And we recorded this album, and it was amazing. 4 days of recording in the studio. I think it was 3 or 4 days. It was just a great experience. I loved it. And I remember the song Red Flare. I was doing like this drum part which I created, and everyone was like, "Oh, Luke, you should pattern that drum beat, however you do that." And I was like, "Oh," it was just amazing. It was unbelievable, really. So recorded that album, came back to Southampton, kept on doing my gigs in Southampton. We done a few more gigs with Matt, and then the industry can be so up and down. 2 years had passed, loads of gigs with Matt, record this album. No longer doing the stuff with Mac Brown, really. When I got back to Southampton, I didn't really have much gigs going for myself. That band had kind of dried up. I had to kind of look for more work because I'd been out of the loop for a while. And Matt's album launch came up. It's like, oh, amazing. We're going to tour. We're going to play this album live in lots of different venues. And this tour sounded amazing because it was with Cyndi Lauper. Yes. And we were going to be supporting her each night, And I was buzzing for it. Weeks went by. I didn't hear a word. Because, the gig's coming up soon. I'm sure it is. The launch, the tour. And, like the album, tour. And I called Matt. I said to him, "Matt, I haven't heard back." I said, "What's going on?" I said, "We're meant to be playing like tomorrow, aren't we?" It was like that soon it was. And Matt was like, "Yeah, I've left it to Jay." Oh, not Jay. What was his name? One of the other guys. I can't remember his name now. It slipped my mind. But it was another one of the guitarists that was quite new to the band. But he said, "I've left it to him to book all of the musicians for the band." I was like, here we go. Yep, that old chestnut. So, of course, he went and booked all of his mates. He didn't book me. And I kind of know why. I mean, I'm not in London. I'm out of the loop maybe for I want people London-based. But it didn't really make sense. I played with Matt for 2 years. I'd recorded Matt's album. Who knows how to play the part better than the person who played the part on the album? That's what I thought. But anyway, I wasn't on the tour. I saw some videos of them playing on this Cyndi Lauper tour, and the drummer played completely different parts to what I played on the album, which I found very bizarre. You think he would listen to it and kind of almost copied the part, but excuse me, that didn't seem to be the case. So back to the drawing board for me, really. Uni was over. Gigs were kind of here and there, and but I just cracked on. I was still doing some gigs, getting a few more little bits and bobs here and there, and it was disappointing, but kind of just went back to playing normal gigs. I'm gonna fast forward a bit, and I had some issues come up with my health. But before that, actually, I'm going to talk about what I was doing with the music, really, because as well as doing music, I was working as a football coach for Learning Through Sport. So I was working with them, and this was also working with Matt as well. So sometimes I'd have to tell them, I can't coach this Friday night, I've got a gig in London. They hated that. They weren't very happy with it, but it was what it was. So I was doing the gigs with Matt, was working for this company. I was also doing other gigs with Jay and different singers in Southampton. And it was all well and good. Kept on doing that. And I never knew. I was in a bit of a conundrum. What would I do? What would I prefer to do? Music or football? Because I love my football coaching. Music was always the main passion, but football was also a love. You know what I mean? I loved and passionate also as well, coaching football. And a real telltale point come as the years went on. I got poorly. I got diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, and that changed a lot, to be fair, because I kept on doing the music, kept on doing the coaching. Probably more coaching than music at this point, and it got to the point where I had issues with the coaching. I say I had issues. I actually got dismissed from my role, wrongly so, due to health reasons, which it's all in the past now. It's all water under the bridge, but basically it left me with no job. I ended up starting working for another coaching company, and then eventually, I'm going to fast forward a bit, get through all of that. It gave me the opportunity to just focus solely on music, an opportunity which I wanted, because I wanted to push on and do more music anyway. So, and the rest is history, really. That's pretty much the lot. With my chronic kidney disease, I'm not going to go into that too much in this podcast. I might do another podcast that talks a bit more about that. But basically, at first it was just a diagnosis, and they said, "Oh, your kidneys are going to get worse and worse and worse." And eventually, they failed, and I had to go on to dialysis, which I'm on now. I was on peritoneal dialysis. Now I'm on home hemodialysis. And but like I say, it gave me a reason to say, right, I'm just going to focus on music, and did that. Along the way, had times I thought, let me get back and just do a little bit of work as well on the side. So actually last year, after the pandemic, I took up another job with Learning Through Sport. Went back, thought I'd do some more coaching work, give me something to do during the day, 2-3 days a week. And it just wasn't for me, being back there working in the schools doing the coaching. I stopped doing that and decided to start trying to open my own little sweets business. So I had that on the go whilst doing the music. But fundamentally now, what I am is just a full-time musician. That is what I do now. Cut a long story short, I've gone into full-blown music mode. I have no intentions of getting another job, apart from my sweets business here, which I'm still doing. It's been a bit slow, but hoping to get up and running. And of course, I've got my YouTube, I've got my podcast. So yeah, that's basically where we're at now. Just doing the music full time. Gigs have been going from strength to strength recently. Oh gosh, it's 5 to midnight here, and I'm very, very tired recording this. But excuse me for keep on yawning. Um, but yeah, so gigs going from strength to strength. Jubilee weekend I had, which was last weekend before last, had 5 gigs. Last weekend I think I had 3. Yeah, 3 gigs. This weekend I've got 3 gigs, 1 Friday, 2 Saturday. So yeah, I can't complain. I'm busy. Gigs are going well. Work's coming in. During the week I've got time to do podcasts, do Instagram stuff, do YouTube videos. So all is well with the world. So anyway, this was just me basically introducing to you guys the new name of the podcast, which is going to be The Life of a Performer. I hope you like this new name. I'm hoping it's going to open up, be a bit more broad to all different performers from all different backgrounds, all different performing arts who can come on here and talk about what they do and their life as a performer. There's so much more to being a performer than just going out there and playing or dancing or singing, acting. You know, there's a life behind it. So that's what I'm hoping to document a bit more in these podcasts. This was just, like I say, me talking about my life in music. Be quite interesting for me to listen to this back, really. I mean, I haven't written down any notes really on where I wanted to go with this podcast. Really, I was just talking off the cuff from beginning to end, really. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Haven't really had any comments come through on the YouTube. I did have somebody watching live on the YouTube. I don't know if I've got anybody watching live on the Facebook. Let's have a little look-see. See if we have. Oh, there's 2 people watching there on the Facebook. So that's cool. But yeah, any questions whilst I'm on here live? Let's see if we get any questions come through. If they do, then I can answer them. If not, I would love you guys and leave you guys just to give a quick kind of a plug, if you like. If you like the way this podcast looks and sounds, then know that I am using riverside.fm. Riverside is a great platform because right now, of course, I'm just recording a podcast on my own. If I was recording with a guest, it's perfect because the guest can be in one place, you can be in another, and it's not dependent on internet connection or streaming. So your feed is recorded on your device, on your computer, and it's uploaded to the cloud. Theirs is recorded on their device, their computer, uploaded to the cloud. They come together and down in perfect sync. So you get great audio and great video every single time. Shout out to riverside.fm. They do a great job, great platform. I'm using it now and I'm able to stream through it as well to Facebook, to YouTube. So yeah, it's just a great thing, really. So yeah, check it out, riverside.fm. Sign up, I think you get your first hour free, and happy days. Anyway, I'm not seeing any questions come through, so I just want to thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. I'm not sure how many more I'm going to do where I just sit and talk to the camera on my own. In the meantime, be good. I love this top. What a great message that is. And it's got something on the back as well. It's just a nice top. Makes me feel good. But yeah, please head over to the podcast channel and give it a subscribe. The link is in the description. And I'll see you guys very soon for another episode of The Life of a Performer. Whether that'll be me just waffling on again, but hopefully we're going to get some guests on, and the podcast just going to go from strength to strength. The podcast is dependent on you guys, of course. It's reliant on you guys to help it grow. So if you're enjoying it, if you enjoy my face, the sound of my voice, or if you're just like throwing fruit at the screen, I don't care. You're still watching. And if you're watching and enjoying it in any capacity, please like, share, subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next podcast. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, for streaming. Have a great day. See you again.